Beasties, welcome to the lair. How's everybody doing on this, I would say, fine night, but this whole week has just sucked. So how's everybody?
Hot and tired.
Yeah.
He's warm
Hi,
here.
Mean John. Hi, Papa. Hold on. Make sure I don't forget anyone. Hi, Danny. Hi, Mayor. Okay.
Mr. Mayor is at work.
Yeah, I know. Hey, JMK. Hey, JMK. So, I am going to give everybody a few minutes to kind of get in and get settled, and then we're going to cover some ground rules for tonight. We're going to cover some ground rules. And some of you may not like the ground rules. And we're all allowed to have feelings. But, hey, Texas. Hey, Danny. Hey, Philip. So, we're going to cover the ground rules. We're going to talk for a minute or two. And then we're going to go through a brief overview, my thoughts on things, and then the lawsuit. Hey, Muffin. Here's the thing. Okay. I'm gonna do the ground rules now. And then we're gonna slowly roll into things. But we're gonna cover the ground rules first. We are going to refer to my guest as Beastie C. She is Beastie C, just like we have Patty as Snarky P. I have given my mods very specific instructions that while I am generally fairly lax about what is said in chat and the comments, right? Tonight, given the topic and given Beastie C, we are going to be very guarded of our member. I will not, and I am going to say this once and only once. And if you do not like this, there is the door. You can see yourself out. This is not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure. Okay? If you cross a line and you have been warned by a mod and you cross that line again, the angry Loki rants that you guys see with Stupid and Trial are going to look and sound like you are getting those warnings from Micro Loki. We will not disparage. We will not speculate. We are going to pull a cool frog and good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. But we are not going to cross lines. Creed, give me a minute. I'm going to make that line crystal clear. BSTC, sweetheart, don't worry about it. Now, with that being said, I'm going to remove that comment. And you'll see why. Nobody in chat is going to address questions to anyone other than me or Croc. Nobody is going to address anything other than love and support for BSTC. And that's that. If people are addressing her in the chat, if people are criticizing her in the chat, or people are being nasty, you're going to see a side of me that you don't want to see. What we are not going to do is add to this beastie's stress. We are going to be loving. We are going to be supportive. And we are going to be the amazing beastie family and community that I know you all are. Do not push my buttons. If you are told to shut up by me or a mod, and you don't listen, you will see a side of me nobody here has seen and that nobody will like. That is that. That is final. That is not open for discussion. This person could face jail time for something they didn't do wrong. And we are not going to be unsupportive or disparage. Croc, you gotta kill the background music. It's like
2
really
seconds.
loud. No, it's just really loud in my one headphone. And I cannot. Jessica, that's fine. Croc has been instructed to remove anything that BSTC says or comments once I have seen them.
The only thing I can do is put Cool Clear Water in timeout. He's a mod. I cannot directly remove it.
I can. Just say something and I can remove it.
All right.
I have zero tolerance for this. So, we are going to be loving beasties. We are going to send her good vibes. We are going to send her all the love and support. And we are not going to participate in fuckery. And Mayor Wrench can remove them too. We are going to be loving and supportive. So, to my 9 people in chat, 8, this is everybody's warning. We're not going to do it. If you think I was mad and yeeted Kurt, or when I got mad and yeeted Jay Robine, that will look like something my kindergartner did. I am not going to tolerate it. We all got it?
I'm good.
Okay? Everybody in chat. Speak now or forever hold your peace. You don't want to go up against me. What is being done is wrong. And you know how I feel about anything involving my beastie family. Got it? Good.
I'm good.
I'm just laying the ground rules. You will get a warning. I will remove a comment. And then I will... Hey, Muffin. JMK, you're fine. You guys can joke with me. You can joke at the fact that I sound like a cracked out Fraggle or a teenage boy going through puberty right now with the voice. We don't have to be super serious, but we're not going to do anything to add to this this beastie's stress. End of discussion. If you have a question, you ask me. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of Loki? Oh, fuck yes. And in the court of Loki, I am judge, jury, and executioner, and don't pick a fight with someone that'll end it from another zip code.
Or 6.
So, we're going to cover a little bit of background here. We all have seen my coverage on the Rust shooting. We all know that I'm not a big fan of how things were handled. Between OSHA violations, firearm safety rules, fuckery and bravado in obnoxious interviews, and the bullying and trying to get people to accept blame in situations just so you get out of it is not acceptable. There is one person and one person only that is responsible for the death of Helena Hutchins, and that is Alec Baldwin. I don't care about them pulling the indictment against him and pursuing, whatever. Some of that was tactical because his lawyer would have dragged things to speedy trial in an attempt to rush things and get them to make mistakes, especially with how it was handled by the prosecutor. with the retroactive charging. So,
That's a good one, Creed.
you have all heard me say since day one, when I have put my 2 cents in on this, that there is more to this than just what is being presented by Alec Baldwin's side. And that there are things that people aren't really covering. I've seen Emily talk about it. Hey, JLo. That I don't think it's fair. Because while you can try to say that X, Y, and Z were the causes, there are missing pieces. Some of these missing pieces are in this complaint in her lawsuit against PDQ Arms. And it has gotten overshadowed. And people are focusing on the wrong things. Now, on top of all of that, right? On top of all of that, you know, the fuckery that occurred on set was not acceptable. And to me, it's irresponsible. To me, it is irresponsible to carry on with a certain narrative when you damn well know, where you damn well know, these are critical facts. So we're going to get into those missing pieces in this part of the lawsuit. And once again, there will be nothing directed at BSTC. Comments? Hi. Comments come to me. Questions come to me. So, take that as you would like. So, let's look at this complaint from Hannah Gutierrez-Reed against PDQ. CCW and BSTC, no apologies. None. I've got this. I don't tolerate fuckery. Especially of the Beastie fam. So, we're going to look at this lawsuit and we're going to break this down. And people need to remember, I am a firearms expert. I have testified at many a trial as a firearms expert, as an OSHA expert, and as a public safety expert. I have a lot more depth to things than many of the people. Why we are leaving this civil complaint out, though, is beyond me. Croc, for right now, just copy it and put it in the private, and I will deal with that after the stream.
Okay.
So here we go, guys. Apologies now for my voice and the fact that I sound like I smoke multiple packs a day and I'm a teenage boy because my voice keeps cracking. So, let's roll. May the odds be ever in your favor. But I can tell you right now, I've got it. Jess, tell him not to cry. Tell Beastie C not to cry. Just listen. And you can call me whenever. So, let's roll. Fuckery afoot. Oh, no. No. All the no. So, this has been brought by Ms. Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the plaintiff, versus Seth Kenny, PDQ Arm and Prop, the defendants. PDQ Arm and Prop are the prop warehouse and the people that supplied everything. Hannah Gutierrez Reed was the armor involved. She was a fairly young female who, while she is not totally new, this was the first set that was hers alone. Her father is a well-known firearms prop master. Seth is the person who owns PDQ. And Seth, Mr. Seth here, Mr. Seth is involved in some fuckery. And I don't much appreciate it. So let's go. Complaint for violations of New Mexico Unfair Trade Practices Act, including dangerous products onto movie set, strict product liability, and false label representation. Plaintiff Hannah Gutierrez Reed, by and through her counsel of record Jason Bowles of the Bowles Law Firm, and Todd J. Bullion of the Law Office of Todd J. Bullion, hereby bring this action against defendants Seth Kenny and PDQ Arm and Prop, collectively the defendants, and allege information upon information and belief as follows. BCC, I saw it. I saw your comment. We're just going to remove them because I don't want... Once I see it, I'm going to remove them. And the chat is going to come down after this so that it is not... Okay? Jess, it's okay. Just, I've got her, I promise. I promise. You guys know me.
I want to kill that one now anyway.
Oh, there's going to be doxing and boxing and by me.
There will be deaths. Blood everywhere.
Trial by combat. Wise words of my father. Don't, silly little bitches. Don't mess with the queen or some that will end a disagreement from another zip code. Nature of the case. This case arises out of a shooting that occurred on the Rest production set. That occurred October 21, 2020 that killed Helena Hutchins and wounded Joel Souza. Plaintiff Hannah Gutierrez Reed, resident of Bullhead City, Arizona. Defendant Seth Kenny is believed to be a resident of Albuquerque, New Mexico, county of Bernalillo. Seth Kenny is the founder and managing member of PDQ Arm and Prop, LLC. Defending yeah, they're an LLC. We don't care. At all relevant times, defendants, each of them, have engaged in the business of assembling, labeling, marketing, promoting, packaging, advertising, and distributing props to individuals and entities in the state of New Mexico. They have subject matter jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction under the long arm. And we're going to get to facts and allegations momentarily. All previous paragraphs are incorporated by reference herein. So, you guys have us, honey. In and about August and September of 2021, on a different movie set in Texas, defendant Seth Kenney enlisted Thel Reed to help train actors at a shooting range in the use of live-fired rounds at a licensed range off the movie set. This training was to help the actors understand the way a firearm will recoil after live fire so they could simulate the recoil during filming. There were never live rounds on the Texas set, but instead, this instruction occurred off site at a licensed shooting range. Following that training, adjust things slightly. Sorry, Croc, that background noise.
Yeah, I know. I'll kill my mic. I can't do anything about them.
That's fine. I just can't hear. Following that training, Seth took the ammo can and its contents with him in his van. Thel estimated that the ammo contained 200 to 300 live 45 Colt rounds, which included Starline brass reloaded live rounds. Starline Brass is a company that produces ammo brass casings that can be made into dummy blank or live ammunition by anyone with the knowledge and equipment to do so. The company itself does not make live rounds. Anyone with access to the dummy rounds can convert them into live rounds with proper relocating assistance. So I'm real quickly, for people that are not familiar, I'm going to explain this. When you reload, you essentially buy something that kind of resembles a giant Ziploc bag full of brass casings. Now, you can police your own brass at a range, or you can buy them new. Then you clean up the rounds, you tumble them, whatever. You then take the individual rounds and you seat a new primer, and then you put your desired grain weight of powder, and then you put the actual projectile and you press it, and you have a bullet and a round that will fire. Okay? So, they are not operable at any point. You have to go make them operable. Creed, to answer your questions, they make shells, and when fired, you can make them into bullets that are fully functional, yes, or you can make them into dummy rounds or whatever. You reseat the primer, and if you put gunpowder in, and then you put an actual lead or copper jacketed bullet in and press it, it'll go off like a live round. Now, I reload my own stuff. I know what to look for. many people cannot tell the difference, right? And if you're not explicitly in the business of knowing what to look for, you may not be able to tell the difference. I can take a dummy round, use something called a bullet puller, pull the little slug that they have for the dummy round, put gunpowder in it, and reseat a jacketed hollow point bullet, and it'll still have the markings of a prop round, but it will be live fire. Here's the thing, and it's a good question, Philip. Can you feel the weight difference holding a firearm with live rounds or non-live rounds? It depends. If we are talking 22 or 9mm and just like 1 or 2 rounds, most people would not notice. You're talking very low grain weight. I can tell, but I've been doing this my entire life. So, to the average person, probably not. What I can say, though, it's also partially caliber dependent. I'll get there in a minute, Creed. JMK, I know, just give me a minute. I will get there. If I hand you a magazine from my Desert Eagle loaded with 10 rounds of 50 caliber, 50 AE, and I hand you another magazine with 10 rounds of dummy ammunition, you won't be able to tell real quick. Those are high grain weight bullets. And it's a lot more obvious weight-wise. And yes, JMK, rimfire Orions don't have a primer, but we are going to go essentially with... We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. That's a technical thing we can talk about a different night, okay? We are going to focus on this lawsuit. We can discuss bullet components, primers, different styles, a different day. Now, what Creed is referring to with the rattling test, most places will put a piece of plastic, for a better term, or something in the bullet if there's no gunpowder in it. Or if there's just enough gunpowder that would fire the blank, right? And the wadding, just enough to take for the wadding to come out. And they do it so if you shake the round, you can hear it. To try to make it easier. .45s are pretty hefty, but here's the thing. There are target loads. There are self-defense loads. There are plus P loads. And then there are plus P loads. And the higher the grain weight, the heavier the bullet is. So, sidebar, when I go to shooting competitions, they walk over to you. They pick up your box of ammunition, because pretty much everybody that competes hand loads. And I molly coat on top of hand loading. So that has to be done by me because I molly coat. But what you do, what they do at the competitions is they pull the slug, they dump out the powder, and they weigh it. And you have to be in a certain range to meet spec for competition. If you overpressurize a load or you put too much gunpowder in, you are more likely to blow up your gun because you'll split the shell casing or can crack your barrel depending on how heavy of a load it is and the quality of your weapon because of the amount of force involved. Creed, it is generally on the bottom. I have not looked at these specific Starline brass loads, so I cannot with certainty tell you where it is. But I can tell you in my competition bag, I have a digital scale. All I have to do is set 2 bullets down.
Actually, I'm not sure if BCC would know the answer to that or not.
It is so yes, the bottom part is the brass casing. If you look at the projectile end, like Mayor Wrench is saying, you'll see if there's a bullet there. Now, most of the time. The difference, though, is so, Mayor Wrench, and again, this is splitting hairs, and we have a ton to get through, but I'm gonna give this part of the explanation and we're gonna dive back in. And I will answer other questions in a little bit. Things like simunition, there are wax. It's a piece of wax. And the wax is what's holding everything in. You wouldn't see what you think of as the bullet. I have seen ones. So, yes, Mary McWrench is right, JMK is right, but here's the thing. I have seen rounds for specialty things where the wax has mica in it and is dyed. So that when you pick up the dummy round, it looks like there's a projectile end. Right? But then once you fire it, the heat, the wax goes away. So, yeah, generally there's a crimped end or a wax seal. Some places drill a hole so you can see through it. There's lots of different ways to denote it. But if I make a dummy round and I reload a dummy round, it may not necessarily look like any other dummy round you've seen. And I can take what is a dummy round and make it a live fire round. And you may not know the difference. I'm really good at what I do. So, back to what I'm saying. Following that training, Seth took the ammo can and its contents with him in his van. Thal estimated the ammo can contained 200, 300 live 45 Colt rounds, which included Starline Bass reloaded live rounds. Here you go. Right? They had Starline Brass. And they had to reload it to make it live. So it doesn't matter what it was denoted by. You can repurpose it. And you can modify it. Starling Brass is a company that produces ammo brass casings that can be made into dummy, blank, or live ammunition by anyone with the knowledge and equipment to do so. The company itself does not make live rounds. Anyone with access to dummy rounds can convert them into live rounds with proper reloading equipment, people like me. On October 4th, 2021, Rust Production hired Hannah Gutierrez Reed as an independent contractor for the position of armor and key prop assistant on Rust. Hannah is the daughter of Thel Reed, longtime Hollywood armorer who trained Hannah. As Rust armorer, Hannah was responsible for maintaining and managing operation of firearms-related movie props. As key props assistant, she was also responsible for assisting with a multitude of props duties as requested by Miss Zachary on production. Croc, if you see a comment from BCC or CCW, just tell me to look at chat because I've got this blown up.
Good enough.
Hannah was to be paid approximately a total of $7,500 for both jobs combined. Damn, that girl didn't charge anything. I charge more than that. I charge a fuck ton more than that as a expert witness. Production hired Sarah Zachary as props manager, and she was responsible for obtaining and maintaining all movie props for Rust. Production also hired Sarah's future sister-in-law, Nicole Montoya, as props assistant. Both Hannah and Sarah were 24 years old when they were hired to work on Rust, and Nicole was 19. So here's right now where I'm going to start to take issue with things. You do not take somebody that is 19 and have them have anything to do with a pistol. They are under 21.
Correct. Don't do that. Rifles depends on the state.
Doesn't matter. It is industry standard that you don't. You use someone that is of age. This is also where I take issue with some of these facts. And again, Danny, was it you that commented, or Croc or Patty? I don't remember who it was. Do you guys remember we were watching the New Mexico Cummings thing, and I was sitting there breaking down the crime scene and the evidence, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, I didn't even see that. How did you notice that outline versus that plus this?" Remember?
That was Danny.
Right, but I'm just saying, I mean, if you guys remember this discussion,
I remember the discussion.
I will pick out stupid, tiny, minute details, okay? I'm very good at it. I am very good at my job. I mean, if you work in OSHA, you're an asshole, so hey, finding technicalities is our job. But I'm very good at it. You do not. Yeah, it was crazy. You see those. Yeah, Danny. And so that's why when I read this complaint, I wasn't real happy with the reporting. You do not take someone underage and have them have anything to do with it. Because here is where Loki is going to lose her shit. Probably at least 75 times tonight. Y'all might as well hydrate Croc, put a keyboard protector on,
I
Patty,
won't
get your
worry about the
inhaler,
monitors.
whatever. Whatever y'all need to do. You know how I get. They went to a live range. The only person, if you hand Nicole those 300 rounds, she can't legally be in possession and drive them back.
No.
They had to stay in Seth's custody. That is why you don't use someone other than someone that's not 21. Legally, he was responsible for the rounds. Okay? And with him being responsible for the rounds, you're not going to hand him to a minor. It's not legal. I think I've told you guys this before. When I first got my paramedic, I could give out narcotics, but I couldn't drive goddamn fire truck or Tahoe. Because most states require you to be 21 to operate an emergency vehicle. So they used to call me Miss Daisy because someone had to drive me to calls. Because I was young. JMK. Yeah, it's all just some of this is a smear campaign, and it pisses me off. But again, you have someone that's underage involved now. Defendant Seth Kennedy was instrumental in recommending both Hannah and Sarah for hire on the Rust set. The Rust production was a low-budget film. It had a rushed and chaotic atmosphere at times, culminating the day before the tragedy with the abrupt and unexpected resignations of members of the camera crew on October 20th. All the while, the props and armorer departments were expected to teach each other and do more with less. The introduction of live rounds onto set, which nobody anticipated, combined with the rushed and chaotic atmosphere, created the perfect storm for a safety incident. JMK, you're fine. Rust was a Western movie whose props included pistols, rifles, dummy ammunition, and blank ammunition. Here in blanks are dummies. A dummy round or a drill round is a round that's completely inert, i.e. contains no primer, propellant, or explosive. We're really gonna go with a handgun safety certificate? Y'all, step your shit up. That's why you use, like, NRA. Just saying. A blank round is a cartridge casing containing powder only without a bullet. At no time was live ammunition to be used during the production of Rust. Live ammunition means a cartridge consisting of a case, primer, propellant powder, and a single metallic projectile. On or about October 4th, 2021, Sarah and Hannah met with defendant Seth Kennedy at PDQ Arm and Prop Office in Albuquerque to collect necessary dummy and blank ammunition and firearms for Rust. Defendants Kenny and PDQ were the primary distributor of ammunition and firearms to Rust. Over the course of...
Good night, CCW. Rest well.
Hold on. Okay. Good night, good night, Papa. Over the course of Rust production, Sarah would, from time to time, bring other boxes labeled dummy ammunition onto set. Let me scroll up to double check that I have the right name before losing my shit. Okay, Nicole. Okay. Nicole is the one. Hold on, I'm looking. No difference for rifle or hand on that one for the legal BSTC. Um, BCC, I'm not quite sure what you're meaning by that, sweetheart.
As far as weapons handling, I think she means that whether it was a pistol or a rifle is irrelevant in terms of the age of in terms of Nicole's age. Correct me
Um,
if I'm wrong, please.
yeah, if that's what you mean, I completely understand that. Um, there is a difference though. Um, in the fact that someone under 21 can own a rifle and possess the rifle without an adult, someone over the age of 21. That's a federal firearms thing. So there is a little bit of a difference. I was just looking. Um, I wanted to see who was 19. On or about October 24th, they went to go collect the necessary rounds. Over the course of the rest production, Sarah would from time to time bring other boxes labeled dummy ammunition to set. Defendants Kenny and his company distributed dummies in boxes with labels affixed that read dummy rounds 45 long or 45 LC. Within each box, a plastic tray of 50 cartridges packaged in 10 columns of 5 individual dummy rows. Defendants also supplied 44 and 40 caliber dummy rounds. When not in use, all firearms were maintained in a loft and safe in a prop truck. Dummy and blank ammunition were not routinely locked in the safe, and there was no protocol calling for ammunition to be locked up. Um, yes, Creed, you can join the military at 18, and if you're in the military, you can carry, but you can't concealed carry on your own. Yes, Mayor Wrench, you can own guns at 18, but you there are restrictions. And there's also transport restrictions. Yes, you can become a cop before 21. But if you're a cop before 21, almost every single state makes you leave your service weapon in your locker at the station.
See, here in Washington, they won't allow you to be a cop till you turn 21.
Um, like Pennsylvania, you can. You have to leave your weapon. You can't take your pistol home. It is state and department specific. When not in use, all firearms were safe. Now here's my next issue. The ammunition needs to be locked up. Okay? The ammunition needs to be locked up. Just hold on one second. Hold on. Hold on, guys. So here's the thing, guys. When I take a break like that for a minute, it is because to insulate BSDC, they are communicating with me privately. And that's why I have removed any comments that alluded to them. So I'm being a buffer because what we're not going to do is fuckery, especially when it's someone I care about. Okay. Dummy and Blake ammunition not routinely locked up. There was no protocol. Hannah purchased a safe for production using a production credit card and has a copy of the receipt. Only Hannah, Sarah, and props assistant Nicole Montoya knew the code to the safe, Hannah believed. The cause of the fallout between Seth and Hannah. And so, guys, remember I said there were things that were not being brought up that I had issue with? You're going to start to see them here. On October 16th, 5 days prior to the tragic shooting on the rest set, Sarah had an accidental/negligent discharge of a weapon, firing a blank round at her foot. Within 15 to 20 minutes of that accidental discharge, Baldwin's stunt double accidentally negligently discharged a round from his weapon inside a cabin on set. Nearby, as confirmed and reported by the LA Times on November 20th, Hannah confronted Sarah on the AD&D and wanted to know what happened, indicated they needed to tell production about it, and it could impact Sarah's ability to handle weapons on set. This led to a heated text exchange between Seth Kenny and Hannah over Sarah's accidental negligent discharge and the reporting of it. Seth took Sarah aside and intentionally told Hannah to back off if mistakes happen, and that Hannah needed to remember that Seth was her boss and not to push it. Hannah interpreted this as that Seth, who was the armorer mentor on the call sheet, wanted to sweep the security incident under the rug. The term armorer mentor does not seem to be a position that is used or understood on film sets generally. Claude, Sarah is not an actor. Sarah was a props person. She worked in props, Claude. So here are the texts. Now, here's my issue. Y'all, the fuckery. Y'all, this dumb fuck is dumber than the prosecutor in the New Mexico v. Cummings case who handed a non cleared rifle to the person being charged with murder and said, "Show me what you did with it." On a weapon that was not made safe. You are in fear enough that you charged him with murder, one, but you're gonna hand him a gun in court? Okay, y'all, no.
Still better than Binger pointing a
We're
weapon
not
at
bringing
you.
that in. We're not even going there. Accidental discharges are accidents, mistakes where the armorer provides a gun and full loaded ammo to be fired with a horse in the vicinity. Will you tell production about that? We learn and move on, and don't forget, she's your boss, don't push it. And she responds, "Excuse you, what mistakes do you think I'm making? Will I tell production about what? You think I'm some fucking rat or something? You think I'm running to production to tattle? You have me fucked up, Seth. If she doesn't like me when I barely say anything about it, you can come back and finish the show. I'm not going to stay where I'm a fucking problem." Around October 17th or 18th, Seth called a friend of his who he had met through Thel Reed, Officer Troy Teskey of Bullet City, Arizona. Seth stated to Troy that he never wanted to work with Hannah again. Seth also falsely accused Hannah of using derogatory language about Sarah 3 times on set. Okay. Hold on. Hell no, Sarah was a local hire with zero credentials. Good girl. No qualifications. Okay. The morning of the tragedy and the unexplained arrival of a newly full ammo box. Ooh, it's magic. The ammunition Santa Claus was apparently there. The morning of the tragedy on October 21st, fellow Rust employees Sarah Zachary and Nicole Montoya were the first people in the prop trailer. Sarah was already in the prop safe retrieving the firearms when Hannah arrived at approximately 6:30 in the morning. This was unusual as Hannah was the person who typically retrieved the firearms from the safe herself. When Hannah arrived at the prop truck that same morning, she saw a box labeled Dummy Rounds 45LC completely full, which someone had placed on top of Hannah's equipment bag. Hannah had not seen a full box of dummy rounds in weeks, and nor was this full box on the equipment bag when Hannah had last been in the prop trailer. Hmm.
I have questions, and Hannah should have too.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. Upon information and belief, the dummy rounds and live rounds came from the defendants. Sarah has since acknowledged in a report by the LA Times on November 20th that a new box of presumed 45 caliber long Colt dummy rounds appeared on set that day. Hannah exclaimed words to the effect of, "What is this? We have been looking for a full box of dummy rounds for weeks. Where did this come from?" Now, I'm going to finish this section and then we're going to sidebar this. Sarah was the person who had been bringing all the dummy ammo boxes onto set from the defendants, but she did not respond as to where this full box had come from after Hannah made her comments. Props assistant Nicole simply giggled in response to Hannah's questions. No one in the prop truck acknowledged or claimed to be the source of the full box of 45 caliber long Colt dummy ammunition that morning. Hannah shook the box and heard a jingling, which is what a dummy round box should sound like. Like I said, a lot of them will put a BB in there so you can tell. It was a busy morning, and Hannah was happy they had a full box of dummy rounds to work with. And because Sarah, as prop manager, had brought dummy boxes to the set in the past as part of her duties, Hannah did not think any more of it at the time. Around 7:30, Hannah noted the video camera system, an app that allowed the crew to watch scenes going on in real time and store content in the cloud video village, was down. As a result, Hannah was unable to view the various camera scenes and what they were filming. Video Village was always supposed to be up so Hannah, makeup, and others on set could see when they were needed and follow what was going on with the filmed scenes as they were happening, for example, inside buildings. Video Village provides several apps which apparently offer secure cloud storage and the ability for set crews to watch scenes in real time at a distance and monitor scenes. The failure of Video Village that day was very significant because nobody could see inside the church at the time of the impromptu Baldwin gun scene. In effect, the de facto camera security system was shut down that day. At approximately 10 a.m., Hannah, Sarah, and Nicole loaded Alec Baldwin's gun and two other guns for use in scenes that day with dummy rounds from the full dummy round box found that morning in the prop gun. For Alec Baldwin's gun, Hannah loaded 4 dummy rounds with holes in them from her pants pocket, a 5th dummy round from the box with a hole in it, and attempted to load a 6th dummy round without a hole in it from the box, but it would not go into the chamber, and she thought the chamber might need to be cleaned. I'm going to address that in 1 second. Hannah remembers shaking the 6th round to ensure herself it was a dummy round. Sarah and Nicole helped load the other weapons and the bandoliers. They were all placed on the prop cart. Hannah handed the gun to Alec Baldwin just after 10 a.m., and he had continuous possession of the gun with the 5. Okay, BCC, sweetheart. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Okay? Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on 1 second, guys. Give me 1 more second. I'm sorry. Guys, BSTC is going to remove herself from the chat. It is distressing to her. I am still in contact with her, though, okay? So the rules still apply. The chat's a bit much. Like, just having to listen to it. But I'm still in contact with her. Sarah and Nicole helped load the other weapons, and the bandoliers were placed on the cart. Hannah handed the gun to Alec Baldwin just after 10. He had continuous possession until they broke for lunch. During this time, he was involved in various scenes. Hannah asked Baldwin approximately every 30 minutes when a scene cut if Baldwin wanted to give her the gun back. He said no. Hannah also sent Nicole over to ask Baldwin if he wanted to hand the gun back to her, but Baldwin said no, he wanted to keep holding it. When the set broke for lunch at 12:30, no, no. We are not putting emojis like that. Absolutely not. There are no laughing emojis.
Not a laughing
None.
matter.
None. Warning. When the set broke, Baldwin gives it back to Hannah. Hannah, Sarah, and Nicole locked the guns back up in the safe in the prop truck. Inside, gun socks provide an extra layer of protection for rifles and guns when traveling or in storage. Why the fuck you would use Range Off and the blog as your goddamn site, your source, and not a footnote is beyond me. Idiot. The afternoon of the shooting, when the three returned for lunch, they pulled the guns out of the safe. Hannah carried the guns and placed them back on the cart. Hannah had to step away for a brief period and asked Sarah and Nicole to watch the guns. When she came back, she noticed that the two had wandered some feet away and the guns were unattended for 5 minutes. Hannah remembered the chamber that she believed needed to be cleaned in Baldwin's gun, cleaned it, and Hannah pulled another round for the dummy box, shook it, and placed it in the chamber. Here's the problems are coming. To the best of Hannah's knowledge, the gun was now loaded with 6 dummy rounds. Indeed, defendants and suppliers of prop ammunition to the rest set sold, distributed, and advertised its props as dummy ammo, not live rounds. Hannah relied upon and trusted the defendants would only supply dummy prop ammunition or blanks. No rounds were ever to be on set. A.D. Halls told Hannah in her earpiece in a rushed fashion that Baldwin's gun was needed inside. Production was behind several hours because the camera crew quit the night before. This was also the cause of the video village being down on the 21st. The camera crew quit the night before but left their equipment behind. Instead, they opted to drive the long distance again the next morning to the set to get their equipment. Curiously, the long distance drive was the main reason for them quitting in the first place. Hannah brought the gun to A.D. Halls inside the church. Hannah spun the cylinder for Hall, showed him 6 loaded dummy rounds. Baldwin was not inside the church. Hall then took custody of the weapon and was inside the church sitting in a pew. There were multiple people inside the church. Production had emphasized to everyone on set they'd be adhering to the strictest of COVID protocols, and Hannah was cognizant that the inside of the church was not a large space for the number of people. Hall said to Hannah that he would just be sitting in with the gun, meaning the gun wasn't going to be used at all since this was not a scene or rehearsal. Hannah told Halls to let her know if Baldwin came back so she could come back inside the church and re-inspect the weapon and provide it to Baldwin herself, as she had done every time before. Her point that if plans were to change for the use of the gun to be more than just sitting in status, Hannah needed to be called back in. On this set, Hannah had a split role of both armor and key props, assistant props. She had to fulfill both roles, frequently flitting back and forth between two sets of responsibility. Knowing that no gun scene was going on at the time with the awareness of COVID, she walked outside of the church to prepare for scenes for the afternoon and do prop duties. Again, production was behind that day, and Hannah was acutely aware of the need to attend to her prop duties as well for scenes that afternoon. Thereafter, Hannah did not see the weapons, nor did she have custody for approximately 15 minutes. Sometime in that appropriate 15-minute period, A.D. Hall gave the firearm to Alec Baldwin, calling out "cold gun," which signified that the firearm was empty or contained only inert dummy ammunition. Hannah was not inside the church and out of earshot and did not hear this call out by Halls. After receipt of the firearm from A.D. Halls, Alec Baldwin has stated that he began practicing the cross draw from his shoulder holster and camera angles with Helena Hutchins for an upcoming scene. No one from production, including Halls, told Hannah Baldwin was back and he was going to rehearse a gun scene. It was protocol for Halls to tell Hannah when first team, including Baldwin, was back on scene to film. This was not a scheduled rehearsal, and neither Halls nor anyone called out a rehearsal. Inside the church, as Alec Baldwin cross-drew the firearm, he stated that Helena directed him to point the firearm at an angle that was pointed towards Helena, which he did. As Baldwin further described, he pulled the hammer back, let it go according to him, and the gun just went off firing. What he later learned was a live round right at Helena, fatally striking her. Had Hannah been called back in, she would have re-inspected the weapon every round again and instructed Baldwin on the safe gun practice with the cross draw, as was her standard practice on set, and under circumstances where Baldwin did not respond to Hannah's request on October 15th to schedule cross draw training, and the gun had been out of her possession for 15 minutes. Hannah would never have let Baldwin point a weapon at Helena as part of safe gun practices. Apparently, no one inside the church stopped Baldwin from doing so, including A.D. Halls. Here's the thing. As we could all tell by the goddamn dumpster fire interviews, that man doesn't listen to anybody. That man cannot get himself out the way of a goddamn freight train. He sees it coming and doubles down. Okay, Jess. Yeah, Philip, it is. Not a problem, Jess. That's why I sent a text. As the shot went off, Sarah, who was outside the church near Hannah at the ammo cart, exclaimed what was that. Hannah responded she didn't know. Sarah asked, was that the gun? Hannah said it couldn't be the gun. She believed it had to be special effects because Hannah knew in her mind that the gun was located with dummy rounds when she handed it to Halls. Thereafter, Hannah heard shouting and earpiece and complete commotion. Hannah went inside the church, whereupon she saw Helena and Joel lying on the ground. They were bleeding. Report from the sheriff's office revealed there were 14 people total in the church at the time of the shooting, including Helena and Joel. Hannah was trying to make sense of the situation while people shouted for her to leave the church. It became apparent a tragedy occurred and that involved Baldwin's weapon. Hannah ran outside of the church and yelled back to Halls she needed to take custody of the weapon and inspect it. Halls brought her the weapon. Hannah inspected it, finding the spent casing. At that point, Hannah was trying to figure out if this had been a dummy round with a hot primer, possibly a live round. On around 1:49, a 911 call was made. Law enforcement was dispatched. Hannah told Sarah to inspect the ammo box immediately to determine if there were any live rounds. Sarah returned from the prop cart with the men and said there were other suspected live rounds. It's unclear how Sarah was able to make this determination so quickly, what her procedure was in checking rounds, and how thoroughly she did so. At some point thereafter, Sarah told Hannah that she had called Seth Kenny and they said the live rounds were not his. Hannah was upset, and the art manager, Ryan, led her around the building out of view of the cart to console her. When Hannah remanaged to speak to authorities who had just arrived, she saw that the cart had been moved 40 feet to the other side of the church. It's unclear as to who moved the cart and for what reason. Law enforcement response. After law enforcement and medics attended, Helena and Joel inside the church, the sheriffs had secured the scene and began collecting evidence. In doing so, they found a suspected 7 line rounds distributed inside an ammo box on the ammo carton and bandoliers. The live rounds had the Starline brass casings with nickel primers. Pictures taken from the scene by the authorities showed the other guns and the ammo boxes are missing from the cart. Hannah wasn't sure if someone had taken some of the items from the cart to the prop truck after the shooting. Law enforcement didn't search the prop truck until 6 days later. Regarding the search of the prop truck, on behalf of the production, told the sheriffs that she would unlock the padlock placed on the truck for them. However, throughout production on the rest set prior to the shooting, the prop truck was virtually always left unlocked and accessible by anyone. After the police arrived and before Helena had been pronounced, Seth made a call to a police officer in Bullhead City named Officer Troy Tesk. Officer Tesk is best friends with Del Reed. During that call from Seth to Troy, just hours after the shooting and before Helena had been pronounced deceased, Seth stated words to the effect to Troy that Hannah had messed up. How and why Seth came to this almost immediately conclusion that Hannah messed up and offered it up unsolicited is neither understood or yet to be explained or clarified. Troy felt the call was very unusual and that Seth made one of his first calls to him right after the incident. Seth knew Troy only through Thel from prior movie sets. It was suspect to Troy that Seth almost immediately was implicating Hannah right after the incident without any first-hand information. None of that's admissible. It would have all been hearsay. Seth repeatedly called Troy over the next 2 weeks. He also texted Troy. In total, there were over 20 calls Seth made to Troy. During one of the calls, Seth was with the sheriff's lead investigator. He called Troy and asked Troy if he could send some of Thel's live reloaded rounds that originally came from a known reloader who specializes in reloading rounds. Seth also texted Troy and asked if he had any live reloaded ammunition with nickel primers if he could send some of those. Seth had become aware that Thel kept reloaded rounds at Troy's house for safekeeping. Upon information of belief, Seth was attempting to match one of Thel's reloaded rounds to the live rounds retrieved on the rest set. If they were a match, presumably Seth sought to shift blame to Hannah and connect her to the rounds through Thel's rounds kept at Troy's house. Seth took it upon himself to essentially investigate this matter for the sheriff's office and insert himself into the matter and to implicate Hannah. Troy did not send any rounds to Seth. He detects pictures of samples of 4 rounds from his house to Seth, one of which had the Starline brass head stamp markings, which have the same distinct markings as the Starline brass rounds seized from the rest set. In fact, the actual live round casing that the fatal shot had a Starline brass head stamp. Seth texted back, "Yep, it's evidence in the accidental death," essentially linking the Starline brass markings of the live rounds seized by law enforcement on the set to the Starline brass markings in Troy's pictures. Yet Seth possessed hundreds of Starline brass rounds from Thel in the ammo can that he took from Thel in the previous movie set, all of which are now unaccounted for.
Ooh, that's not good.
Here's a picture of the rounds. Defendants attempt to shift blame. Hannah went on today's show, Good Morning America, on behalf of Hannah, indicated they believed the rest had been sabotaged and someone introduced live rounds. On the same day, Seth texted Troy again blaming Hannah for the accidental shooting. Thereafter, later in November 2021, Seth Kennedy texted Hannah and attempted to have her drop her claims of sabotage and to instead cooperate with the police and implicate A.D. Halls as the person responsible for the tragedy. Seth suggested that A.D. Halls had essentially bullied Hannah and not allowed to do her job safely. Seth stated that if she would shift the blame to Halls, he'd have her back. Go and talk to the police, tell them everything, answer every question on what you had for breakfast. You're young, certainly not green or inexperienced with period weapons, but did you get rolled over by this set of system and the 80 with 30 plus years of experience? I think you did, you're just too proud to say that. Had you been partnered up with a truly professional ID, none of this would have happened. That true professional would have supported your safe efforts. Instead, you got David Reckless Halls. No AD is ever going to touch again. How many times did he grab guns from you? He did it before and you didn't kick him his teeth and you got rolled. Had you ever watched your dad hand off guns to an AD? You're tough, but there's always someone out there that's a lot more intimidating. Who are you to question him? Please think about this and take some time. No, ma'am, that's what we're not doing. Seth also texted Thelreed and essentially suggested that he could Hannah drop the claims of sabotage and not let Hannah drag himself or Thel into this. There was nothing to be gained by Hannah and her attorneys dragging me into this. If anything, the date, and we perceive this as an unapologetic scapegoat tactic and lower the boom even harder. You and I are going to be collateral damage in this tragedy and approach. It makes no sense. By this point, Seth, who had no official role in the investigation, had made multiple attempts to direct the investigation and to cast blame on a variety of people and deflect scrutiny from himself. The day after the shooting, Thelreed was set to fly out from Las Vegas, Nevada to get his daughter Hannah in Albuquerque. While in Albuquerque, Thel wanted to retrieve an ammo can and live rounds that Seth had taken from him on the prior movie set in August or September of 2021. So Thel had only told Seth, Hannah, and Troy about his flight. Strangely, when he got to the airport, American Airlines told Thel that Thelreed had called to cancel his flight. Thel said, "No, that's impossible. I'm Thelreed. I never called." The airline was able to rebook him on a later flight, but it pushed him back a day. It was apparent to Thel that defendant Seth Kennedy had to be the one who called to cancel the flight in his apparent attempt to thwart his plans to come to Albuquerque or delay them. Neither Troy nor Hannah made the call canceling the flight, nor did Thel himself. When Thel got to Albuquerque, he proceeded to Seth's house, PDQ Arm and Prop location. Unlike every other time Thel had come, Seth did not invite him into the house. When Thel asked for his ammo came back, Seth said for him to write it off. He'd use the rounds on other sets. Thel agreed, and Seth maintained possession of the ammo cans and rounds. Upon execution of a search warrant on PDQ Arm and Prop 4 weeks later, authorities found the ammo can belonging to Thel, but it was empty of the live rounds. There's no explanation as to where the remainder of the live rounds went or what Seth did with them. Thel has identified it as his ammo can. He would testify Hannah never had access nor possession of the live reloaded star brass rounds that were found on the set, but that Seth took hundreds of the live rounds with him from a prior set. Troy would also testify Hannah never had access to reloaded live rounds kept at his house for Thel. Troy can verify he gave the ammo can containing live reloaded rounds to Thel in August to go to his movie shoot. Troy would also relate that when Hannah learned of Seth's false accusation regarding her insulting Sarah with a derogatory name, Hannah was baffled as to why Seth would make this allegation up, and Hannah denied doing so. Defendant Seth Kennedy had denied ever being on the set of Rust, but somehow had the code to the prop truck safe that Hannah had purchased for production. Hannah never gave him the code. Seth was on set supposedly for the first time ever when the warrant was served 6 days later to help sheriffs. It's unknown who gave him the code to the safe. Contrary to the truth about informed belief, Chet told law enforcement that it was his prop safe. It was the production safe, and Hannah purchased it and has a copy of the receipts. Defendant Seth Kenny had access to the rest set, knowledge of the code of the prop safe, and with his company PDQ Arm and Prop was a primary supplier of guns and ammo on the rest set. Upon information belief at the October 16th accidental discharge, defendant Seth Kenny said he never wanted to work with Hannah again. The live reloaded rounds, upon information belief, originated from a Noni reloader, then went to Thel and into the Thel Reed ammo can to defendant Seth Kenny. Seth Kenny had a long-standing relationship with the reloader. Seth Kenny apparently believed that the rounds found on set connected back to the rounds from the reloader, which is why he made the calls to Troy Teskey right after the shooting incident, requesting Troy send him the live round samples. All previous paragraphs are incorporated. Let's see. They're claiming things were misrepresented. Things are mislabeled. Hold on. Because some of this we don't need to read. It's just a restatement. Guys, I will link this later in the description box. Creed, it isn't all of the good stuff. I read it at the beginning of the stream. It's the exact same thing. It's literally what I read. It's boilerplate. Product liability. They're a commercial supplier. They have a duty to supply a safe thing. Creed, I'm going to link it, but the causes of action are the same. They literally cut and pasted strict product liability, strict product liability, strict product liability, and false action. They are copy and pasted exactly what I just read. I'm not going to read the same 4 paragraphs because there's multiple counts. I will link it. You can reread it. They want a jury trial. They want a trial. They want to be awarded things. I will link it. For you after. But I'm already losing my voice. So if I literally read the same 5 things every time, there will be nothing because you can hear my voice. So here's my issue, guys, with all of this. Changes that narrative a bit, doesn't it?
Oh, just a touch. The question, of course, is which narrative is correct?
I give credence to Hannah. Right. I'm going to give it to Hannah. I have talked to the BCC.
How's she doing?
Not great. Hold on. Beastie C will call is somebody that was on set. I am not going to give you guys anything other than that. I would not take this lawsuit with a huge grain of salt. I have been privy to corroborating things that I am not going to share. I did my due diligence, as Croc can tell you.
Yep.
I checked, I cross-checked. No, I know I'm answering Creed. I cross-checked. I spoke to multiple people. It is correct. It is my understanding there was an adult relationship between Seth and one of the females. And the female had an issue with Hannah.
Oh dear.
And there were some bullying issues going on. Because we're mean girls. But yes, I have corroborated everything. I before I brought this to stream, I have read it, reread it, corroborated. And it is accurate. When they searched PDQ, everybody's been saying but nothing was found there. Right. I would have more of a question about that. Don't just say, well, no live rounds are found, no big deal, right? No, where are those 300 live rounds that only you had access to? That have the same markings. You tell me where those are. You tell me. Right? Because that's a lot of rounds. You know. 2. Because apparently Mr. Baldwin lost his balls to somebody and someone has them in a jar somewhere.
Yeah, so I probably just got something on him.
Well, here's the thing. He keeps saying he doesn't know about guns, right? His father's a firearms instructor.
Yes.
Alec Baldwin's father is a firearms safety instructor. So Baldwin saying, I don't know how to make the gun hold. I don't know.
How many movies has he been on with guns?
Doesn't matter. Every other celebrity they interviewed was like, yo, I still check it myself or make them show me. But he's like, I don't know. Well, jackass, you do know. Your father's a fucking firearms instructor. My 5-year-old knows better. As many of you know, I am very, very good friends with Punk on a Bus, Mr. Thatcher, who is also the director for Dinosaur everybody's favorite Not the Mama TV show, Muppets Do the Hollywood Bowl, Muppets Haunted Mansion, and a very well known person and director. Most of this stuff goes directly in the face of IATSE and the union. Um, you were never against Baldwin. No, no, Creed. You're 1,000. That's wrong. Baldwin's responsible. If the gun's in your hand and you pulled the trigger, you're responsible.
Yeah, that one's on you.
Don't tell me it's the same as if you're shooting a World War II movie and you get a live grenade instead of a metal one. Don't bring that up in here. If it is in your possession, it is in your possession. It is your job to check. It is industry standard. It is union standard. In your non-gun wielding mind, the people who checked it before didn't catch the live round. So here's the thing, right? A, he knows how to fucking check shit. Your father is a fucking firearms instructor. 2, shut up. Okay? Stop giving roadside interviews. 3, stop acting like you're friends with Helena Hutchinson when it came out that you only met her once. And you were not friends with her. Thomas, he may know fuck all about guns to a point with gun control things, but he sure as shit does know about gun safety. His father is a firearms instructor. He has been around them his entire life.
Yeah, I have a problem. Every person I know of that's had a parent or a sibling or something that's a firearms instructor, they tend to want to go around and make sure everybody else around them knows.
I start every video when I'm handling a firearm off with my safety as paramount discussion, do I not?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. She said she needed to clean a cylinder, it didn't fit. There's only one reason for that. Somebody reloaded the round. Yes, there will be very slight differences in measurements with reload rounds, but if the bullet didn't fit, it's because the head spacing was wrong on it.
Which means it's been reloaded.
Which means it's been tampered with.
Yep.
So, the headspace being off is why it would not fit, which means you had a tampered round. This girl should not have been on set by herself in any way, shape, and or form. Not that she doesn't know things. You had this girl who got steamrolled, and this Seth idiot who's got 200 to 300 rounds that no one's been able to find that match the rounds um, where are they? A lot of ammunition to go missing. So everybody walked off because of conditions. You know, I talked to my friend Kirk. Kirk said it goes against IATSE and all the union standards. They broke so many union safety protocols. They did what they wanted. And thought they're going to get away with it.
Well, that's when you start seeing this thing with accidents, stupid accidents.
Because this poor girl's getting steamrolled. There are plenty of texts and addendums that I did not include because they have names and identifying information in them. But the reason the union walked off is because there were numerous issues. Now, I'm going to also make a comment. Fucking Thomas, I love you, but not right now. Philip, they did get NOSHA fine. A fairly large one. There were quite a few. How would I have accidentally outed Beastie C? I'm confused. How did I out her? Croc?
Nope. Referred to at all times as VCC. There's not an issue here.
No, I just don't understand where he feels. If you're talking about my friend Kirk. Oh yeah, no, my friend Kirk is the director for the Muppets movies.
Yeah, he wasn't anywhere near there. BTC was a completely different beast.
Yeah. Beastie C is a completely different person. I went to Kirk and asked him from a director's point of view. Creed? Hold on. Hold on. That's my friend Kirk. On the red carpet for the Haunted Mansion Muppets. And to answer the question as to why Kirk would know about things, because Muppets.
Well,
Hold
he
on.
has to deal with this shit every day.
Well, yeah, he's a director, but not only is he a director, he was punk on a bus.
Star Trek 4.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he was a director. He was on Start. Yeah, that's from when he was punk on a bus. He was in a couple episodes from Picard. He was Leonard Nimoy's assistant for several years, and yeah, he
And now
produces a
he's
lot.
doing Muppets.
He's always done Muppets. He worked directly as a Henson person.
Mm.
He was one of the judges for the Jim Henson Creature Challenge.
Ooh.
Yeah, Kirk is a director. So that was from Star Trek Creed, but he actually was in Star Wars also because he built the Sarlacc pit thing
Ooh. That was icky.
and several other things. This little deranged monkey looking thing with big ears. Um, so
Wait a minute. The Sarlacc pit. Yeah, no, what? Huh? Deranged monkey thing with big ears?
Jesus Christ.
Oh! Ow! Creed. That's nasty.
What?
Although it would explain a few things. Oh, Salacious Crumb. Okay.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thomas knew who I'm talking about. Um, yeah, he is a very well-known person in the movie industry. So he had a lot of inside knowledge and, experience, and he's had sets that aren't Muppet that he, required stuff. Um, but the thing is, people that shouldn't have had codes had codes. Bullets are appearing. Bullets that are 300 rounds of missing ammunition. Seth trying. Oh my god, y'all are gonna make me look. When
Yes,
I
Danny.
tell you,
That was Salacious Crumb.
I have a deep hatred of things like Star Wars. Um, hold on. That stupid ass thing.
Yeah, Salacious Crumb. He was Jabba's pet.
Yeah. Yeah, Danny, I don't know. I've never watched it. There's a really funny picture somewhere of him replacing teeth in a sarlacc pit because someone broke one.
I'm not sure that Kurt is old enough for Jabba and Leia to be based on Kurt and his mail order bride.
Kirk is fairly old. No, he's not. He's not that old,
He's
but
younger than I am.
he's a very good friend of mine. A very, very good friend who I love dearly. I've gotten it is, Philip. It very much is.
I assume. Hello, Sod. How are you?
I will check Sod. Um, yeah. I mean, Kirk was livid and was like, "This was just a whole bowl of fuck," is what this was. Um, so, and that's my issue with this, Philip. There is the reason they dropped the charges against Alec Baldwin is because he had the money and he was going to force this to speedy trial. So they dropped the charges before they could attach jeopardy. And they're setting her out to dry. The AD that they're talking about has already pled guilty.
Oops.
It is her, this AD, and um
A couple of others.
yeah, and they dropped the charge and made sure they had the right charges. So they dropped it before Jeopardy can attach so that they would be able to put on a better case. There's no statute of limitations. Because it's a.
No, there is not.
So, we are assigning, you know, it's just bad. But do does this and I mean Danny, you're one of the people that made the comment, and Philip Croc, I mean, and you can give me your theory. Does this fill in a lot of the gaps for you as to guilt and innocence?
I've actually. Well, okay. First off, let me say, intent follows the bullet. If you're the one
Mhm.
with the gun in your hand, you are ultimately responsible for what the hell went on,
Yeah,
regardless of the chain that led you there.
yeah.
Okay. Um, I don't know what Hannah was doing with rounds in her pocket, but she
The
shouldn't have used those.
those were the two rounds that she had in her pocket because they didn't fit in the gun. And
Nice.
she knew she had to clean, you know what I mean? So rather than put them back in the box,
Which is what she should have done.
no, if they don't fit and are out of spec, you fucking destroy them or put them aside. You
Not
don't put
part
them back in the box and then sod, we will. You don't put them back in the box, there's a chance that someone else grabs them.
What I want to know is why she shipped the entire box to and assumed they were all dummy rounds. You'd have to inspect them individually or in small groups.
Again, she's barely old enough to do this job. And
Lack
because
of
her dad
experience.
is a well known and respected armorer, and they, you know, um, he kind of went off, well, we don't have to pay more. Yeah, Cod, he knew the only dude who did those kind of reloads, and now they vanished. Yeah. Um, so Creed, but it's not because if he was listed as the mentor armorer and there was a box that had gone missing and they've been looking for a full box, right? Which was brought up several times. It is reasonable for her to think.
But somebody found the missing box.
And put it down. And, then the guy who has possession of 300 random rounds that have vanished is canceling someone's flight without their knowledge?
Especially someone that could have got that if given access to the set would have seen all this shit and went, oh no, you don't.
Right.
Hannah's trying not to rock the boat because it's her first solo job.
Yeah, Creed. Those 300 rounds. It is nothing to be the father, the defendant, had nothing to say about those 300 rounds. That's the police officer. The cop was there.
Actually,
Yeah.
wasn't this the case that Hannah filed?
Yes, Hannah did file this.
So she's
This
not
is
the
the
defendant
civil.
here. She could be she's a defendant.
The defendant.
Huh?
She is the only defendant in the criminal case right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because they dropped Baldwin's charges.
No, I don't believe they were, Creed.
We don't know.
I don't think so, but again, we don't have all of that, so
those 300 rounds went missing and were in his possession. And his answer was, well, they searched my shop and didn't find any live ammunition. Well, then I'd like to know where the fuck the 300 rounds are. Please tell me.
I take issue with them using Hannah's inexperience and having to do two different jobs.
Well, that's the other thing. It's a cardinal sin.
And then there were emails saying that from somebody, from Hannah's supervisor or boss or whatever,
telling her to lie.
Huh?
Telling her to lie.
No. Before that, telling her she couldn't. She only had a couple of hours worth of armorer time left, and she needed to focus more on props.
Mm-hmm. Where? Oh, 1 second. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. Come on. Mm-hmm. There's the link to the lawsuit.
That's the one we're looking at.
Yeah, it's the lawsuit we're looking at right now. Nobody's saying they never existed, Creed. Seth is, everybody's saying we watched him leave with these rounds. He's the only one that had them. And now, when they went and searched his house, there are none to be found. There's the entire document right there. They are trying to strong arm this poor girl. I also have firsthand knowledge, after speaking to several people, that there were 6 or 7 plastic exact models of the weapon.
Which is what they should have used.
And nobody knows why they
it up, not steal.
Right, and they chose not to.
Well, he's already got the gun. Why not just do? Why was he given the gun in the first place?
Again.
Oh, look, we can screw with Alec and get Twithead out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, Thomas. Don't forget the white carpets, though.
Yep. Creed and somebody tried to cancel Thell's flight. And it wasn't him.
Well, if Thell didn't cancel it, that doesn't leave very many people.
Yep.
So has the AD been sentenced yet?
Yeah, he pled guilty and took a plea.
No, has he been sentenced yet?
Yeah.
What did he get?
I have to look. Let me look.
Is David Halls?
Hold on. Yeah, AD Halls.
There we go. Let's see.
Six months suspended sentence.
Wow. How 6 months of probation was what CBS said.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was a misdemeanor in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Well, I mean, Creed, technically it is. But the thing is, if they can prove that Seth introduced the live rounds, he can get tagged with homicide. or negligent homicide. So, it's a lot. I have looked at firearms reports from this. I have looked at a medical report. Because if you go back and watch the interviews, some of the interviews, they claim that Baldwin was there holding on to her until the medics forced him out and she was dead. And then in some, they're like, she was in the ambulance. You know, she was in the medevac helo and that she was going to be fine. But she bled out there. So, mm-mm. Yeah. This is a whole lot of fuckery. But this is why I keep telling everybody. Everyone's like, well, the Rust Armorer civil suit has nothing to do with the criminal one. It does. It does. There are some real nasty text messages that I did not include. So, my heart breaks for our beastie. No, Thomas. It was somebody impersonating him. And Seth was pretty much the only male that knew what flight he was on. So, and you're trying to charge his daughter. The last thing you want is him there immediately, because you have no time to clean anything up then. But to me, it's more telling that they couldn't find any of these 200 or 300 rounds. They didn't find any live ammunition.
I have questions.
Okay.
First off, how do you lose 300 rounds in the first damn place?
Right. Like I said, sir, when you tell me you have that much ammunition and they searched my stuff, there was no one there. There's nothing there. I didn't have any bullets. Well, the fuck are they? Because you had them last. Please tell me. Where'd they go? Philip, let me look. Because I'm covering this fucking trial against this poor girl. I'm so mad. Mm. Trying to find out the trial date. There's a ton of stuff coming up, JMK. I'll figure out. Have you found it?
No, I haven't yet. The Department of Defense is just like every other corporation that exists.
Mm, let's see. Ow. Hiccups. When I have a trial date, I will fill everybody in. So we will keep up on it. JMK, there's a bunch of trials coming up. Tomorrow we're going to cover the TikTok psychic. Because there's other shit there. I have like 5 documents that we're going to cover. And we'll cover some other stuff. And everybody can look through any of the upcoming trials and tell me what they want me to cover. I have made myself available to this particular beastie if they need me. So, yeah. Creed, there are no other filings as of right now. Because they're essentially tolling this until the criminal charges. Because running a civil before the criminal's a problem. So, there you're going to have to finish the criminal trial before the civil trial can go forward. But we will figure it out. So, as y'all can hear, I'm pretty much, my voice was almost gone by the end of reading that. I'm going to go to bed. I will catch you guys in the morning. I love you all. Thank you for being well-behaved beasties. Let's all keep Beastie C in our thoughts and prayers because they're trying to railroad her too.
Which they should not be permitted to do. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mayor Wrench, I don't know if you can hear. I'm literally, my voice is crapping out. As Croc can attest. My
I do attest.
voice.
I do so attest.
Yeah, my voice is like gone half the time right now. So, if Croc wants to run some games on his stream, he's more than welcome to, or whatever. But I am going to sign off and call and talk to BCC and make sure she's okay. And I'm going to go to bed, and I'll catch you guys in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, Philip, I will. Okay. Good night, my loves. Hey, Zulu, you're supposed to text me. Okay. Good night, my loves. I'll talk to you tomorrow.